A 100% grade is a 45-degree wall. Most vehicles would flip backward long before reaching that angle. The G-Wagon, a top-heavy, flat-sided box that looks like it was drawn with a ruler, claims to climb it. That is either a marketing lie or a case of genuinely impossible engineering. The explanation does not start in a lab. It starts with a 20,000-unit military order from the Shah of Iran. The brief that set the G-Wagon in motion wasn't drafted by marketing gurus or focus groups. It was hammered out by military procurement officers with a taste for overkill. In the early 1970s, the Shah of Iran placed an order for 20,000 all-terrain vehicles that could operate in conditions ranging from Saharan heat to alpine blizzards. Mercedes-Benz, teamed up with Steyr-Daimler-Puch in Austria, faced a mandate that cared less about cost and more about survival. The contract demanded a platform that could be field repaired with a wrench and a welder, not just in a dealership, but in the middle of nowhere. The vehicle needed to withstand 50 degrees Celsius desert days, minus 30 degrees Celsius mountain nights, and keep running with whatever diesel was on hand. The engineering specs read like a dare: payloads over 1,200 kilograms, ground clearance above 230 millimeters, and a chassis that could be hand-welded in graz for maximum rigidity and repairability. The body had to be flat-paneled so a dented door or shattered window could be swapped out with basic tools and off-the-shelf glass. There was no room for planned obsolescence or aesthetic compromise. The frame had to take the torque of winches, survive the recoil of mounted weapons, and shrug off years of battlefield abuse. This was not a vehicle designed for comfort or cost efficiency. It was a rolling insurance policy built to outlast the war, the peace, and the next regime. The original mission profile, modular, field serviceable, and immune to fashion, set the DNA for every G-Wagon that followed. Later luxury upgrades would pile on the leather and electronics, but beneath it all was a machine engineered to ignore consumer cycles and keep moving no matter what the world threw at it. A drivetrain technician stands over a stripped G-Wagon axle, pointing to the locking sleeve, the mechanical heart of the triple-lock differential system. In a world where most sport utility vehicles rely on electronic nannies and hope for the best, the G-Class gives the driver 3 big red buttons, front, center, rear. Each button bolts a set of gears into a solid shaft, bypassing decades of smart traction control with pure mechanical certainty. The technician slides the sleeve. The spider gears vanish from the equation, and torque flows like water down a pipe. No more split decisions. Every wheel turns at the same rate, no matter how much mud or air is under the others. The real test comes on a ramp pitched at 45 degrees, instrumented with wheel speed sensors and a data logger. First run, all differentials unlocked. The rear wheels spin wildly, the front wheels barely crawl, and telemetry shows a 30 kilometers per hour speed gap, classic open differential chaos. Second run, center lock engaged. The gap narrows, rear slip drops to 12 kilometers per hour, but one front wheel still loses the plot halfway up. Third run, all 3 locks engaged. The technician thumbs the switches, hydraulic actuators slam home, and the wheel speed traces flatten. All 4 wheels climb at 6 kilometers per hour, perfectly synchronized, 0 slip. The data overlay draws a single line, no more drama, just relentless upward movement. This is not marketing. The triple lock system turns the G-Wagon into a 4-wheel driven winch. Even if 3 wheels are on ice and one finds a pebble, the truck keeps climbing. The empirical proof is stamped in the telemetry, lock differentials erase wheel speed variance, torque goes where it is needed, and the 100% grade feat leaves the realm of myth and enters the world of measured, mechanical fact. The G-Wagon's powertrain and chassis form an odd couple, the OM617 diesel engine, a legend in its own right, and a hand-welded ladder frame that could pass for military surplus. Mechanics who have serviced these engines call them million-mile diesels without a hint of irony. There are taxis in Africa and ex-military Gs in the Balkans still running their original OM617 blocks after 1 million kilometers. The secret is not just the iron block or the conservative 22:1 compression. It is the engine's willingness to run on anything resembling diesel, and to keep doing so at full tilt in 50-degree heat or sub-zero nights. Oil changes, valve adjustments, and the occasional timing chain swap are all it asks for. But raw engine life does not keep a truck straight on a 45-degree climb. That is where the Graz-built frame comes in. Each chassis is hand-welded over 6,000 individual welds per frame, according to the plant's own torsion test logs. Graz welders joke that you can spot a G-Wagon frame by the calluses it leaves on your hands. It is not just for show. Torsional rigidity figures hover above 13,000 Newton meters per degree, which means the frame resists twisting even when one wheel is dangling in the air and the other three are clawing for grip. This backbone gives the G-Wagon its signature feel, bank vault solidity, no matter how much the terrain tries to fold it in half. Put the OM617's relentless low-end torque together with a frame that shrugs off battlefield abuse, and you get a vehicle that can climb, drag, and survive where most modern SUVs would throw a check engine light and call for a tow. It is not elegant, it is not even particularly modern, but it is the combination of brute force power and unyielding structure that lets the G-Wagon laugh in the face of physics and keep laughing decade after decade. A tilt table sits ready, the G-Wagon perched at rest, wheels squared, looking more like a rolling safe than a mountain goat. The engineer at the controls is not here for spectacle, he is here for numbers. The myth says boxy equals top-heavy, but the math says otherwise. With a center of gravity measured at about 1.1 meters, lower than most SUVs in its class, the G-Wagon starts to climb, not up a hill, but sideways, as the table tilts beneath it. The wheelbase stretches 2,850 millimeters, giving a broad footprint, while the front and rear overhangs stay short enough to avoid scraping on steep ramps. The approach angle clocks in at 31 degrees, departure at 26, and the breakover angle sits at 22. These are not just numbers, they are the reason the G-Wagon can get its nose on a wall before anything else touches. The engineer calls out the tilt, 20 degrees, 30, then 40. Most crossovers would be sweating brake fluid by now. The G holds steady, tires gripping, body refusing to roll. At 44.5 degrees, the electronic alarm chirps. This is the certified tip point, just a hair under the theoretical 45. The G-Wagon's static tipping angle, calculated from its geometry, lands at 51 degrees. In plain language, the truck is mathematically less likely to roll than most so-called sport utilities, even though it looks like a wardrobe on wheels. The numbers are stamped into the TUV report, 44.5 degrees on the certified tilt table, center of gravity at 1.1 meters, wheelbase at 2,850 millimeters. The myth of instability crumbles under the weight of the evidence. Before a single tire touches a 100% grade, the G-Wagon has already proved it is not just stable for a box, It is stable, period. The engineer steps back, tilt table at max angle, and the G-Wagon sits there, defiant, waiting for the next dare. A field mechanic kneels beside a G-Wagon, socket wrench in hand, rattling off the repair kit: 17mm spanner, flathead screwdriver, a roll of duct tape, and, if you're feeling fancy, a portable welder. Underneath, portal axles stare back. Unlike standard axles, these use a hub reduction gear, 1.5:1 on the 4x4 squared, lifting the axle housing above the wheel center and delivering a ground clearance leap from 220 millimeters to nearly 400 millimeters. Portal gears don't just boost clearance, they multiply torque at the wheel, letting the G-Wagon claw up obstacles that would beach lesser trucks. The mechanic pops a flat body panel loose, 4 bolts, 10 minutes, and a dented door is swapped for a new one. Field repair isn't a slogan, it's the difference between limping home and calling for a helicopter. Inside, the hose-out interior tells its own story. Every switch is sealed, wiring runs through waterproof conduit, and the floor pan shrugs off mud, sand, even floodwater. The waterproofing spec is military, not mall-rated. The original field manual calls for full function after submersion to the lower dash. Now the main event, a live climb on the 45-degree ramp. Sensors log wheel speed, torque, and slip. Portal axles keep the undercarriage clear. The triple locks engage and the G-Wagon creeps up, all 4 wheels turning at the same speed. No drama, no wheel spin, just the slow grind of mechanical certainty. The data overlay spits out the numbers: hub reduction ratio 1.5:1, ground clearance increase of 180 millimeters, panel swap time under 12 minutes, 0 slip detected on the ascent. The technician grins. For once, the legend matches the telemetry. The G-Wagon's impossible climb isn't a party trick, it's the sum of overbuilt hardware, field logic, and a design that refuses to die. Today, the G-Wagon is still a boxy paradox, a hand-built Frankenstein, engineered for war, surviving in a world of disposable SUVs. It endures because it was designed to outlive planned obsolescence, not chase it. Sometimes, impossible engineering isn't a marketing myth, it's a blueprint that refuses to die.